Alright, so we're back. My second question here is, what do you take into consideration when creating a warm-up? This question is by Josh. So this is our third take here, but had a couple interruptions. Basically what Dylan and I were saying is we've kind of gone through a lot of changes with our warm-ups. In the beginning days, we kind of, hammered them with tons and tons of warm-ups, kind of joint by joint approach, ankles, knees, hips, T-spine, shoulders, and probably just, overdid it with that. A lot of our athletes would spend 15, 20 minutes doing it, and either they'd lose interest and not really do the warm-up drills, or they'd get a little bit lethargic because now they're, a little bit too parasympathetic.
Yeah, the intent just wasn't there.
Yeah, the intent just, wasn't really there. And I guess really what we've kind of come down to is different populations need different warm-ups. And it kind of makes it tough in our setting because we have a lot of different stuff going on. We have some youth athletes that, we're trying to get into strength training and learning basic movement patterns. We got some elite athletes. We have some general population people that couldn't care less about warm-ups. They kind of want to just come in and roll right into their workout. So it's kind of trying to tailor to all that. So I guess it's definitely very age and goal orientated, but some of our more advanced athletes, we're going to give them probably some positional drills that they're going to need in their workout. If they're going to be doing squats, we want to give them something where they're working maybe some PRI breathing type of things. Getting into their deep hip capsules. If we have some athletes that are going to be doing sprinting, we want to make sure that their tissues are ready for that. They're going to be doing some pogo hops. They're going to be doing some skipping variations. We'll even throw the ladder in sometimes just because people think it's athletic, and it just kind of gets the tissue warm a little bit and gets them ready to go. They feel like they're being an athlete because they're doing icky shuffle and mounting the ladder. That's going to kind of give them a little bit more intent going into their workout, right?
Yeah, I mean it's just like some kind of mental stimulation. I think a lot of times when we were giving more of like the stretch, active mobility, activation kind of stuff. They're just it's just kind of boring.
Yeah.
So they just then the intent's not there. It's not getting them more ready to train.
Yeah.
Which is what we're looking for. We're trying to get them prepped and kind of excited, fired up. Yeah, like getting them more focused.
In that mindset. Yeah.
So it's those positional drills. It's for people who are gonna really give some intent. It's probably the best way to go. Some real getting them in a better core position, getting their posture better place, and kind of owning that. Certain feel muscles that we want them to feel, and then going into that prep phase.
Yeah.
I feel like that prep phase is probably where everybody should be doing some of that positional stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe the youth, it's gonna get a little lost on them, but everybody could probably use the positional stuff. And then after that, it's sort of where do you go with it? And I think it's like you said, like a power lifter, it might just be a goblet squat, and then an athlete that's gonna sprint, it's they need to get their tissues ready for that. It should be kind of specific. And then the general public stuff, it's not that it doesn't matter, but we needed them to sweat, we need them to get warm, we need to do some stuff that's going to get their heart rate up so that they're not just jumping into their first heavy exercise, their first strength exercise. Because that's where, especially if you're the older population, it's probably where you're going to get hurt if you just jump in without even having your core temperature up.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more simple. Even, it's as dumb as it's something that I used to kind of make fun of trainers for when they would have their client go on the treadmill for 10 minutes or something before the session, but it's actually probably
sometimes
better than some of the shit that we were doing with people.
Yeah, because you have people doing ankle rocks and they're kind of chatting,
bridge
looking back and forth. Bridge variations, just kind of flailing around on the ground.
It's that's not getting anywhere.
Yeah. If you have someone who's really dedicated to training, they're going to do those glute bridges right. They're going to do their ankle rocks and actually work on their ankle mobility. But if you get a couple kids coming in from their day at school, 14, 15-year-old kids, they're just talking about bullshit at school and they're just kind of flailing around on the floor. We're not really getting what we want from that, but if we have them, ride the bike for 10 minutes, they're probably going to sweat a little bit. They're probably going to get their tissues a little bit warm. Yeah. So to sum that up, Josh, I guess what it really comes down to when we're looking at a warm up, we want to get them sweating a little bit. We want to get them ready for what they're about to do. The level of the athlete or the level of our client is probably going to be to really dictate what we're doing with them. Like we said, positional work and really mimicking what they're going to be doing in their workout, in their warm up. And yeah, honestly, we just got to keep them engaged. So it depends on the population. Again, if we have little kids, probably going to have them doing some sort of game where they're running around, jumping around. maybe throwing medicine balls around, just something that's keeping them engaged so that they're not lethargic and bored and kind of just rolling that same attitude over into their workout. They're gonna, they're gonna be a little bit more engaged and ready to go.
But I'd say number one, it's like, the more advanced the athlete, probably the more specific the warm-up's gonna be.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like you're generally gonna be better going with basics.
Basic stuff.
Just get them moving, get them sweating, get them to understand a position, roll.
Yeah, roll right into
Get
it from
moving.
there. Sweet. Next question comes from Greg on the West Coast. He says, "How do I get strong like
Greggy.
Dylan?" Greggy, little Greggy. He looks a little bit like George Clooney these days.
He does.
For that FaceTime call the other day.
It's not great. He looks old.
he's getting a little weathered out there. The sun's not treating him well out there. So initially we were thinking about just stuffing this question, but honestly we think that this actually opens doors to kind of really talk about buying into training and what it takes to really train for a specific goal, right? So I know, Greg, you're probably being pretty facetious about this, but honestly, when I look at what Dylan's training has been like over the last couple of years, pretty much since we opened this place, Dylan's a pretty good athlete, and I would never really say that, he's not a good athlete, but he's definitely not one of those guys that's, gifted that can just roll into the gym and just do whatever and like pick up tons of weight. Like, I wouldn't necessarily say that I am myself either, but I come back from my ACL and was deadlifting 400 pounds in like 2 months.
And ultimately, like, I was decent at football and rugby, but it was more on the fact of just
hard work.
Yeah, like playing hard and
you're that guy.
Like,
you're
tough,
that.
but I wasn't never very fast, never very explosive. But I mean, it's not whatever. But it's just it is what I've done. I'd say in the last year has not been a testament of coming
genetics.
Genetics. It's definitely been.
It's a grind. It's the day in and day out grind. But what I've seen Dylan put on in the last couple years, just in terms of strength, is really comes down to coming in and day out, doing the program, sticking to the program, and not doing the fancy stuff.
And I mean, you're the biggest ball buster. You're usually the one giving me shit to
put more
weight on the bar.
Come on, it looks easy. Let's go.
I'm always like, I'm on the
program.
Stick the program.
And I mean, honestly, it's a testament to making sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Working those lower percentages stuff that you'll do like post meet.
A lot more sub-maximal work than I ever did before. Which was definitely paid off as far as technique and just like hypertrophy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he was messing around with that question, but I mean, yeah, it's like it is an opportunity to kind of look back and kind of look over over time progress and see how did I get here, and it's sort of like, well, 4 hard training days a week, very consistently, not overreaching, staying to
staying in a comfortable area.
Yeah, staying in a place that you can actually keep technique well, move things fast, not sacrificing your technique.
By any means,
yeah, and just put in the work.
Yeah,
basically.
Because I mean,
being patient.
Yeah,
too,
being extremely patient. I mean, looking at it, most people that train can get into the 400s with a squat and with a deadlift, and any guy who goes to the gym and bench presses 3 days a week and walks around like this, you'll see them throwing on 225 plus. But I mean, when you're we got the big meet tomorrow.
See what happens.
Looking to put up some pretty impressive numbers. I'm pretty confident that they'll be there. But when you start talking about 500 plus with the squat and the deadlift, not anybody can do that. That takes a lot of work, and it takes work in the trenches. You got to be, it takes a lot of perseverance too.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm not even at 181. I'm not even that competitive.
Yeah.
Nationally, or I think I'm starting to get into the numbers that are like going to compete.
Yeah.
At my weight class, but I mean, 500 is a big milestone for me, and it's like it took a long time.
I mean, I've been setting that for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
And be able to throw both of them up in the same meet this weekend
it'd be big.
Would be pretty awesome.
So long story short, Greg, hard work, consistent, be patient. I mean, I think I am proud of practicing what I preach with the program stuff, because I'm always giving shit to clients about just going off going rogue and just doing their own thing, and then they pay the price like they hurt or something, and I'm just like, what the hell, like follow the program.
Very
and
simple.
I'm proud that I've done that, you know, like I didn't stray off, and I think it paid off for me.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And shout out to Greg Robbins for the programming, definitely helped a lot.
Yeah.
It's gains.
Yeah, and definitely a guy that we've learned a good amount from.
Yeah, definitely.
Been able to, you know, put some of his and the rest of the guys over at the Strength House, a lot of their stuff into our programs and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely.
Moving on. So this question is from Sarah on programming. So she asked, what are some of the main programming differences between an off-season and an in-season program? I think this is a bit of a loaded question just because there's a lot of variables that kind of come in here. I mean, it depends on what specific sport we're training for. You know, what the parameters are. I mean, what the training age of the athlete is.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the problems we run into, especially with that answering a question like that, is with a lot of our youth athletes. Even in their off season, they're playing 4 games a week. Like some of the hockey players, it's like they're always playing.
Yeah.
So there isn't really an off season.
Yeah.
Most of our rugby players, there isn't really an off season. They're playing sevens over the summer.
Yeah.
They're playing spring ball. So, you know, a lot of times, you know, what is the off season for our athletes, and not too many of them have a true off season.
Yeah.
So I mean, it definitely just comes down to managing stress overall.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're doing.
Yeah. I'd say one thing that we could really dive into is just the plyometric training, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, in an off-season program, they're not getting as much, generally, if they're not playing as many games, as many practices, they're not getting as much stress in terms of, you know, foot contacts. If we're talking about like any field athlete or court athlete, eccentric stress from, you know, jumping from being a basketball player, cutting, changing your direction, whether it's football, soccer, whatever. So that stress is down a little bit. So that's kind of our opportunity to turn that volume up within the gym, right? We can do a lot more of our bounding, our stuff that's going to take a lot of eccentric stress on the joints and on the tissues.
And we can do some, you know, overload that a little bit with some,
exactly.
You know, we do some band resisted versions and stuff.
Yeah, where it's going to increase that contact and overall that stress. Where on the contrary, in season we tend to tailor our plyos a little bit more to be concentric based, right? Like that's what we'll insert in layman's terms to be like our box jumps or something like that, or we'll do band assisted jumping to take some of the stress off.
And also just, I mean, then we look at it from a strength side. I mean, I'd say the biggest difference probably is with the plyometrics and speed work, and just kind of like where our volume is with that and what intensity we're at. You know, like a lot less top speed work during the season, almost none.
Yeah.
A lot more mechanics work, making sure they're just feeling good. But from a strength work, it's going to be less volume for sure. You know, a lot of our athletes, youth athletes, like might train 4 times a week when they're in their off season.
Yeah.
And then that's probably going to get cut down 2 to 3 times a week. And you know, before game days, they're probably doing a pretty light day where they're just kind of, you know, moving, feeling good, getting things firing.
Yeah, getting the CNS going.
So yeah, I mean, that's the biggest difference. Is probably just overall volume.
Yeah.
For us, it's probably biggest change is more for plyos and sprint work.
Yeah.
But we're definitely going to change their strength work around and their explosive power work.
Yeah.
Determining on when their games are, when their practice. That's kind of the stuff you kind of have to juggle with each person.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of this stuff really is person to person, depending on their schedule.
Yeah.
With their seasons.
I also think too, you know, when we're talking about different populations of athletes, you know, a younger athlete versus more advanced athlete where we already have a lot of the qualities that we want in the weight room out of them. You know, they're a good squatter, maybe they're doing Olympic lifts, but you know, maybe it's less technical in terms of how much we're coaching them, and maybe our programming changed a little bit more. I think we maybe put a little bit more prehab work in, you know, like hamstring work, and you know, making sure that their bodies are ready to accept that sort of stress that they're going to have. Yeah. Whereas with some of our youth athletes, like, I mean, we always preach. We're going to, even in season, we're going to preach to like really just get them to understand those movements and get them better at lifting weights. Yeah. Because that's going to be more injury prevention than, you know, having them do a bunch of prehab drills that they're not really going to do anyways, right? Yeah. You know, just getting them to be a more competent weightlifter and you know, and get stronger, right? Is going to be probably the better thing for them.
And preparing their tissues with all like the, you know, elastic stuff. But it's definitely pretty person to person with that. I think that like you can generally just push the youth more because they have such a smaller training age and they put in so much less volume. And those elite athletes, like you were talking about, some of them are probably just strong enough.
Yeah.
They're probably as strong as they're gonna get, and that's fine.
We don't need them to get any stronger.
Yeah, exactly. And we just gonna maybe figure out what quality they're weak at, and maybe address that a little bit during the in season. But a lot of it's gonna be how you feeling, what's feeling good, what's feeling bad, and sort of addressing that as it goes.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
On that one. Our last question comes from one of our clients here, Ari. She said, "Get rid of the Airdyne bikes. Am I right?" That's pretty laughable, Ari.
It's not happening.
I think we might have to put her up on the challenge board now, the Airdyne challenge of the month. Make sure she completes that.
That's what happens. That's that. Signing off with D&J Q&A.
D&J Q&A. And we'll hopefully be coming out with another one of these in a couple weeks. So hopefully you guys got a little bit out of this, and maybe you guys can ping us with some more questions, some more brain busters.
No, I had fun.
Yeah, I had a great time.
Blast.
Yeah.
See you next time.
See you next time.